Hello children, I'm so happy to be taking class. So today we are going to do a history lesson. Okay, you remember we had two big wars in our world, the World War I and II. Okay, now these wars did not result in something great. There was so much of loss of life, so many things were destroyed, land and buildings and nature itself. Alright, so the name of our lesson is the world after World War II. So if you look on your screen, you can see a map, okay, and you can see all the places, you can see the 7 continents, and this is how the world looked after World War II. Now let us start. Now World War I led to Russia becoming a communist country. Likewise, World War II resulted in China becoming a communist country. Now what is communism? Okay, if you look on your screen, you can see there the political system in which the state owns and controls all factories, farms, services, etc. and aims to treat everyone equally. If you see the symbol over there for communism, you have a sickle and a hammer or an axe. Okay, so this just shows that the farmers and the working class people are equal, united, all one. So communism is where all the people, no matter what job you do, you are paid equally, you all are treated equally, but everything is owned by the state. If you look at the next slide, you can see 2 maps over there. In one map, you can see a lot of different colors where you have the color coding over there, Great Britain and France and Italy and Portugal. Okay, so all these countries were actually being colonized by these powers. Now if you see the next one, you see the end of the war inspired independence throughout Africa and Asia, and this was called decolonization. If you see over there, actually after World War II, okay, we actually became an independent country, right? India became independent in 1947, World War II ended in 1945. So many countries after World War II tried to become independent, okay. So this happened after World War II, and when the countries colonized other countries who were weaker than them, it was called colonization. And then this, where these countries try to get their independence and become independent countries on their own, it was known as decolonization. Okay. Now if you look at the next one, you see over there, for European recovery, the Marshall Plan. Now this was headed by United States. Before World War II, you had all these European countries as real superpowers, okay, but after World War II, USA and USSR emerged as superpowers. Okay, now you know USA and USSR was the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. Okay, it was a union of countries. All right. Now these two became 2 separate blocks. Okay, it says over here in your textbook antagonistic blocks, which means enemies. One side of the world USA and the other side USSR. So they tried to impact various countries, okay, because of their power. Now a Cold War started. Now a Cold War is something where you don't have physical fighting, okay. It is a war, but it's not physical fighting like how we had World War I and World War II. Now these were the main places where the conflicts happen in Korea, Cuba, Vietnam and areas in West Asia. USA started this Marshall Plan to reconstruct various countries who were war-ravaged Europe. That means they were all destroyed after the war, okay. So to help them build up again, to help them come back again, USA had a Marshall Plan where they would financially aid these countries to get back and get running, okay. But the USSR, what did they do was, now I told you, right, many countries wanted to get independent, okay. So the ones who wanted to get independent, USSR, what did they do is they backed them up. They were encouraging them, okay, yes, you have a right to be independent, you can, you fight for your independence, okay. So they were encouraging these countries. So they had the support from these countries. So USA had the support from the countries who they were helping, who they gave aid to through the Marshall Plan. And USSR had the loyalty or the support from the other countries who they were supporting or saying that what they were doing was right, the countries who were trying to get independent. Okay. Now there was another thing called NAM, non-aligned movement, which started. All right. Now what is a non-aligned movement? If you look at your map over there, you can see 3 different colors. You can see the observers, you can see full members, and you can see non-members. Now like I told you before, we had 2 separate blocks. You had USA trying to, USA was all in capitalism, okay, and USSR was all in communism. So you had these two countries trying to get different countries to support them, or different countries to become partners with them, okay. So, and these two were against each other. Now, NAM was where many countries did not want to support USA, or they did not want to support USSR. They just wanted to be left out independent on their own, okay. That was the non-aligned movement, okay. Many countries said that I do not want to support USA, nor do I want to support USSR. I want to be on my own. So if you see over there, you have non-members, you have full members and observers who just saw what was happening but were not members of NAM. If you look at the next slide, you have over there EU. You can see over there the western part of Europe, okay, the European Council. So US was trying to control a lot of countries. So European countries were trying to get out of the control of USA, okay. So they formed something called as the Council of Europe, okay, and this developed into a common market for all these European countries, and today we call it as the European Union. Now if you look at the second picture over there, we have a big wall going through. You can see a lot of paintings on that wall, yes. This is known as the Berlin Wall. This wall separated East Berlin from the west of Germany, okay, and later on we will see in our lesson how the wall is broken down and the country becomes one again. Now this is just a gist of what I told you, right, the Cold War and all that happened after World War II. Now we will be learning in detail about all those things that happened, okay. First look at the Chinese Revolution. Now China in pre-war period, that is before the wars took place, China was actually a very well developed country back then, more developed than the other European nations, and it was actually rapidly developing, okay. So if you see over here, look at the points. In its long history, Chinese civilization was more advanced than Europe, okay. But towards the 19th century, that is before World War I and all, what happened was this progress stopped because the Manchus started ruling, okay. That dynasty started ruling, the Manchus started ruling, and they did not govern China properly, okay. So the entire administration was in the hands of bureaucracy, and if you see various landowners, okay. So this what happened was, this made the peasants very unhappy. There was a lot of people who went hungry, jobs, like if you see the points over there, you have poverty, high rents. These people are all poor people. They were not able to pay the high rents, okay, high taxes, shortage of land, no proper facilities, like only some railways and engineering works had been built. So the people were very, very discontent, and so that started an uprising amongst the population. All right. So here we have the Taiping Rebellion from 1850 to 64, and then we have the two Opium Wars. Okay. Now the Taiping Rebellion was where people revolted against the Qin dynasty because they were not very efficient. They were not taking care of the dynasty. They were not fighting against the foreign powers. Okay. And the Opium Wars were fought against the Western countries. All right. These were fought against the Western countries because what started happening in China was opium was being imported. Okay. So what happened was, when they had these wars against the Western countries, China was defeated. Now if you look at your points over there, look at the third point. Now after China being defeated, the opening of China to Western imperialism led to economic exploitation and the impoverishment of the Chinese people. So what happened? So once they lost these wars, the Western countries took over. Okay. And it says here Western imperialism. What is imperialism? Okay. When a very developed country and when a very financially settled country takes over a weaker country, okay, and what do you say, like colonizes them or gets in charge of them and exploits them, takes away all the revenue and resources that that country has. So this is what happened to China. If you look at your next point, the European presence produced a profound hatred of foreigners. So already China wanted to become independent, China wanted to be on their own, but what happened? All these wars led to being under the Western powers, being under the European powers, okay, and they took a disliking to the foreigners. So if you see the last point, this combined with military defeat. So already they did not like the foreigners, plus their military was already defeated. So this led to more pressing demands for reforms from the Western educated intellects. So they were demanding for a change, they wanted a change in their country. Okay. Now what happened in 1898 was the young emperor, he brought about a reform, 100 days reform. Okay. He wanted to change a lot of things within 100 days. He wanted to do this. All right. But there was a lot of opposition for him. He was not able to completed. Especially there was the empress, the Dowager empress named Suzy. She was against it, and what did she do was she imprisoned the emperor and she reversed reforms. That means she reversed it, to go back, okay, to not bring about the change but to go back to how it was already. Now we look at the Chinese Revolution in 1911. Okay, after the Manchu dynasty, as in after the empress died in 1908, the Manchu dynasty came to an end. There was a new emperor. He was only about 2 years old. Okay, so since he was only 2 years old, what happened was, now nobody will want to be governed by somebody who's very young. Yes, so what happened was, all the other, most of the provincial governors stated that they were independent. And in October 1911, what happened was, a local army mutinied and the revolt started spreading in China. So what happened here was, if you look at the last point, provincial governors removed the Manchu garrisons and proclaimed their independence. So the revolt started, and finally these governors overtook the dynasty. If you look over here, you can see an image over there of Dr. Sun Yat-sen. Alright. So during this, when all this was going on, there were a few middle class leaders, okay, and one among them was Dr. Sun Yat-sen. So he was actually in the United States when he read about what was going on in China in the newspapers. So when he read this, he came back to China and he was elected as the president of the new Chinese Republic. Like I told you, the dynasty was overthrown, right? So the new Chinese Republic started. Now we have over here, look at the next slide, we just have a little background about Dr. Sun Yat-sen. So he was born in a very poor family near Canton, and Dr. Sun Yat-sen was also known as the father of modern China. Okay, he was educated in a mission school and he became a Christian. He was also trained to be a doctor, and then what happened was, he had this interest in him for politics. So he took part in the risings against the Manchus in 1895. Then after that, what happened was, in 1905, he founded in Tokyo the political party. That political party became the Kuomintang, or the National Party, okay, National People's Party. So what happened was, the Kuomintang party is also known as the National People's Party, and he founded this party. Okay, he had three principles: that's nationalism, democracy, and people's livelihood with socialism. Now what is nationalism? We are one country, we are one people. Democracy, for the people, by the people. Okay, that is, the people have rights, the people are able to vote, the people are able to make a change. Alright, and then socialism, where it's not like communism where everything is owned by the state. Socialism is where the people, the working class also, the people also can own property. Okay, what happened was, Sun Yat-sen was ruler of the National Party for some time, and then if you see here, the unity of China under Yuan Shikai lasted for 4 years. Yuan Shikai took over after Sun Yat-sen. Okay, but he was there only for 4 years, and during that time, people realized that actually he wanted to bring it back to the way it was before, okay, not like a republic that it was leading to. Okay, so when they found that, he had to step down, and then later on he died. Now after his death, Sun Yat-sen again took over and became the leader of the National Party. Now if you look here, next we have the Communist Party of China. Now if we finished talking about the National Party or the Kuomintang, okay, that was led by Dr. Sun Yat-sen. Now we have the Communist Party of China. Now with all this revolution and breaking up of all the societies and all that, Confucianism. So Confucianism is the thoughts that were taught by Confucius. He was a scholar, and like obey your parents and obey your elders and all that. Like these were some of the main things that were taught by him. So people used to follow his teachings and his thoughts. Okay, and then after that, what happened was, after the Russian Revolution and all that, we had a lot of talks about communism. So we have people like Karl Marx and Lenin talking about communism, and people were following that. 1918, what happened was, there was a college, a university that was set up in Peking. Okay, and this university, because of the popularity of the thoughts of Marxists and Lenin and all that, this university was set up to study Marxism, okay, to study their ideas, their views. Alright, now among these students who were studying in that university, Mao was one of them. Okay, we will talk about Mao now. He was actually born in Hunan in Southeast China. His father was a very wealthy person, and his father supported the Manchus actually. Okay, the Manchu dynasty, his father was a supporter of them. Now if you look over here, you will see that he was very fond of reading, and he had showed a lot of ability and entered college. Okay, And when the revolution had taken out, that was in 1911, Mao was in college. Okay, he joined the Revolutionary Army and he also left the army and he enrolled to become a teacher. He did his teacher's training. Okay. Now, in the following year, what happened was he became a full-fledged political activist and he emerged as a staunch communist. So, he learned about communism, okay, and then he was like in two minds. He went into teaching. He gave that up also, and then he came back into politics and he became a staunch follower of communism. Now look at the next slide, children. We have the Kuomintang and Chiang Kai-shek. I told you that the Nationalist Party was led by Sun Yat-sen, yes? So after Sun Yat-sen died, Dr. Sun Yat-sen died, Chiang Kai-shek became the leader of the Kuomintang or the National Party, alright. He was the leader of Kuomintang while the Communist Party was under Mao, okay, and Chow En-lai. All right. So there were two parties at present now. All right. What happened was when Chiang Kai-shek came into power, he did not like communism. Okay. So all the people who were for communism and who were holding important positions in the party, he removed all of them. What else he did was he supported all the landowners. Okay, the landowners and the capitalists. He supported them. Whereas communism, okay, the Communist Party supported all the working class people, all the peasants, all the poor people, okay. So this Kuomintang Party was more or less for the capitalism, and Mao's party, the Communist Party, was for communism, okay, for equality. In 1928, what happened was Chiang Kai-shek, he captured Peking, and after all this, there was again a central government created in China. If you look at Mao over here, see the picture, he is walking over there by the farm, okay. So he was an organizer of peasants. So what he did was he understood that the Kuomintang grip on the towns is very strong because the Kuomintang party was focusing on all the landowners, all the people in high positions, okay, whereas Mao was focusing on all the poor people, all the peasants, all the working class, okay. Now Mao understood that the Kuomintang people, they had a very strong grip in the town because all top people, all big shots, yes. So what he did was he completely concentrated on the poor people, on the peasants, on the lower class, okay. Many of the peasants, a few hundreds of the peasants led by Mao, they retreated into the wild mountains. Like I told you in the previous point, Mao was born in Hunan, so it's a very mountainous region, okay. So Mao was very well informed, or he knew well about the region and how to go about, okay. So because the Kuomintang was very strong and their grip was very strong in the town, Mao with many people went into the mountains, okay. So if you look over here in the points, you see there in the fourth point, he stayed there for the next 7 years. So Mao with the few hundred communist people who were supporting communism, they were there in the mountains for about 7 years, okay, and his army started growing, okay, it kept growing bigger and bigger, and the Kuomintang people were not able to come into the penetrate the mountains to overthrow them or to defeat them, okay. Like I told you before, Mao knew the mountains very well, okay, and so he was safe inside over there and his army kept growing, all right. Now if you look over there at the last point, the campaign against the communists was distracted as Chiang Kai-shek had to deal with the constant threat from Japan and also the attacks from the warlords. What does this point mean? Now I told you there are two parties, yes. So Chiang Kai-shek was concentrating on defeating Mao because he was all for the poor people and he was taking care of them and he was supporting them, and they were there for 7 years and his party kept growing, okay. Now suddenly what happened was Japan started attacking, okay. So when Japan started attacking, he was not able to concentrate on the Mao's party, okay. So his attention turned from there to see how to take care of China and how to defeat Japan, all right. If you look at the next slide over here, there's something called the Long March. This was a very legendary march. It happened in 1934. Now look at the points, children. What did Chiang Kai-shek do? He built a circle of fortified posts around the communist positions. Like I said, they were up in the mountains, okay. But what did Chiang Kai-shek do? He built a fortress around, so they were not able to escape. He thought they will not be able to escape. But what did Mao do? Mao moved out from that place and he searched for a safer territory. In 1933, what did Mao do? He gained complete access of the Chinese Communist Party. Like I told you, he was for communism. And the very next year, what he did? He set out on a long march with 100,000 communists. Okay, all these people were for communism, all these people were his followers, and all of these people followed him in that march. I told you this march was very legendary, and out of this 100,000 people, at the end of the march, only 20,000 people finally reached north. From south, they walked all the way up north, okay, and when they ended the march, only about 20,000 people still survived, okay, while the rest were, lost their lives on the way because it was a very long march. They walked for about 6,000 miles. Altogether, they walked for about 6,000 miles. And on the way, they were joined, as they were going, right, from south to north, they were joined by other armies as well. Not other armies, other communist armies as well. If you see over here in 1937, towards the end, finally, Mao was a leader of about 10 million people at the end of this. If you see over here next, I have a map over there. Please look at your screen, children. Look down over there from Hunan. I told you there, Hunan was the place where he was born and where he went into the mountains. From there, if you see that orangish color line going all the way up north over there, okay, to Shaanxi. So from here through the mountains, all interior, they walked up north, and only 20,000 people survived to the end of it. Now, Japanese aggression. Like I told you before, what happened was the Chiang Kai-shek, the National Party, he turned his attention from Mao because of the Japanese aggression. The Japanese were invading. So now what happened over there? Japan continued to occupy North Chinese provinces while developing Manchuria as their military base. Now, if you see the map over there, the first map on top, you can see it's shaded in red. Okay, you can see Tokyo, and then you can see going up there by China, Manchuria. So what did they want to do is they wanted to make Manchuria their military base. Okay, they wanted their militants to be there. Now what did Mao do? He believed that Chiang Kai-shek was necessary for some time to hold together Kuomintang to fight the Japanese. So what did he think? He thought that from their country, if they want another invader to go out, they have to be together. Yes or no? The Kuomintang party and the Communist party have to be together to chase out the Japanese from their country. Okay, so due to this clever plan, what happened? The attacks on the communists gradually stopped. So what Chiang Kai-shek was attacking the Communist party also, he stopped because they joined together to focus on the Japanese invasion. Next, we have the communist victory. So what happened was, during this time, we have the Second World War taking place. Yes, from 1939 to 1945, the Second World War is taking place. Okay, during this time, we have the nuclear bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, which was a great shattering loss for Japan. Yeah, so because of this, Japan surrenders. Okay, so Japan surrendered, and Kuomintang was successful because Kuomintang and Communist Party were against each other. They both wanted to win. Yeah, so in this, the Kuomintang was successful. Okay, the cities, the railways all fell into their hands. Even the area around Peking, I told you about Peking University. Yes. So even the area around that was all controlled by Chiang Kai-shek's forces. Okay, and why this happened was because military aid was given by USA. Like I told you before, USA and USSR were two great blocs, two superpowers. Now USA was aiding Chiang Kai-shek. Why? Because Chiang Kai-shek believed in capitalism. Okay, his party was all about capitalism. Okay, and USA was also for capitalism. So USA was helping the National Party. Alright, now if you look at the points again, we see over there, with the massive support provided by USA, what happened? The Kuomintang government controlled the administration, the ports, and also the communication system. But what happened with the soldiers? The soldiers were who? Who were fighting? With all the government officials were fighting? No, the soldiers were all the poor peasants. Yes, so they were not very happy. They were very discontented. They were already not very well off, and then they were fighting all the time, and then they did not get anything in return. So the soldiers were not benefiting from anything. The poor people were not benefiting. Okay, Mao saw this, yeah, and he already had the support of the poor people, of the peasants. Now he started working on getting the support of the middle class. And what did he say? See the last point. He declared that what the communists want was the rule of the people, not the dictatorship of the proletariat, the end of exploitation, not absolute equality. So he changed it. Actually, communism is equality, but every single thing will be owned by the state. Okay, but what did he turn it and said? See, we want equality, but not complete equality. We want mainly to end exploitation. Okay, so by ending exploitation, we want equality. Okay, so it's like it's both ways. It's not just that we'll have equality and yet everything will be in the hands of the state. So by saying this, he started winning over the working class as well. Now if you see over here, we have a tabular column. So what were the areas controlled? Okay, so if you see Mao Zedong, we have North China, and we see Chiang Kai-shek, we have South China. Then what was the name? These were communists and these were nationalists. Then the foreign support. Who supported the communists? I told you USSR, okay, the Soviet Union. Who supported the nationalists? United States. Economic policy, communism and capitalism. Public support, you had communism had the strong support of the peasants and capitalism had the strong support of the wealthy landowners. And the military organization, here they were very experienced, motivated, they had guerrilla warfare, and here they were ineffective, corrupt and poor moral. Okay, what is guerrilla warfare, children? Guerrilla warfare is actually like surprise attacks. Okay, even in our Tamil country, many of our kingdoms have used guerrilla warfare and it has worked many times. Okay, actually what happens is they will hide in the mountains or somewhere along the way where the other military or the army is passing, and it will be a surprise attack. Suddenly they will come out and they will attack them, where these people will be surprised, taken by surprise, and they will not be as effective as they would have been if they were prepared. Okay, so guerrilla warfare was used. So this in the tabular column, it just explains what each party stands for. Now if you see here, we have the National People's Congress. So what happened is in September 1949, before the fighting ended, okay, before everything completely ended, what happened was the People's Political Consultative Conference met in Peking, like how we have a parliament, right? So here they met in Peking. 650 delegates from the Communist Party, okay, and the other left wing. The conference elected the General Governing Council with Mao as its chairman. So that's how he got the nickname as Chairman Mao. Okay, so he had more support, so he became the chairman. Now the establishment of the People's Republic of China under Mao was a world-shaking event. Now we had two great communist powers in the world. One was Soviet Union and now People's Republic of China. So denial of UNO membership. What is UNO? United Nations Organization. So after World War II, we had the United Nations Organization. Actually after World War I, League of Nations was formed, and after World War II, we had the UNO. Okay. The United States did not want to give the People's Republic of China any recognition for more than 2 decades. That's about 20 years. They did not want to recognize them. But after that, what happened was, because of seeing that they would benefit a lot from China if they do trade with them, and likewise, okay, they felt that they could benefit from each other, and then China was also recognized. All right. So you have the national emblem of the People's Republic of China over there, and above you have the symbol of the United Nations Organization. So this is the first part of our lesson, children. I hope you learned with me. Together we learn, and if you don't understand anything, like I said before, please read. If you read itself, you will understand something. Read it like a story. You will definitely understand, and you will also remember if you remember it as a story. Okay. So until next class, children, thank you very much.